URS retirement funding on any state board, where you have to be a full-time employee, and one board member are full-time employees, and just make a clear statement that we are not entitled to the Tier 2 retirement system.
So do you want to print motion on the approval of this resolution?
Let me have a discussion on what that's worded, the way it's said it.
I have a question. Why does it say the directors of the HL&P Board are declared part-time employees? We're not considered part-time employees currently.
There's a phrase there, I had the same question and probably still lean towards it, but it said it is resolved that, and this stipulates solely for the purpose of the URS designation. But still, I don't like the idea in anybody's designation that we are considered employees. And if we as employees after July 1st, 2011 are not entitled to any benefits or whatever, are we saying by signing this that those before July 1st, 2011 could have been construed to be employees? That's a real problem.
Can I speak to that?
Joe and Carly both talked to me about it. Go ahead.
Prior to July 1st, 2011, you would have been considered Tier 1. The Tier 1 requirements are different than the Tier 2. The Tier 1 requirement is based on the amount of your board stipend or the money that you get each month. There's a level of for that. If you go over that a certain amount in a month, then you would be eligible as a Tier 1 employee. Tier 2, anybody that comes in and doesn't have any service prior to that, then is Tier 2. The eligibility then is different, and it's based on whether you're a full-time or part-time. And so we're considering you part-time because that's what URS says and requires us to do as part of that.
We have to have some type of
you have to have some kind of designation to be, and so this is just the URS rules and the regulations, and this is how we've been following it. And URS just, all they've told us is that you just need to have something written down that says, are they full-time or part-time? Because if they're full-time, then we need to certify you as eligible in the URS retirement system to be receiving service credit. And
So you're saying that URS is asking us to do this?
yes.
That's what the city did.
Where is the email, perhaps, or the letter that's asking that, please?
Well, it's part of the URS guidelines.
Right, but this says, you're saying that anyone that does anything has to be a part-time or a full-time?
Elected officials.
This is for either an employee or an appointed or elected official for the company.
But doesn't this essentially say that we would be eligible for Tier 1?
If you have any kind of service credit with an entity that has been a member of URS prior, I mean, you could have maybe worked, for another entity prior to July 1st, 2011, and once you're in the system, you're in the system.
Right, so you're saying if a board member a director was already in the system, and they're now a director, then HL&P could contribute to a Tier 1 retirement, is that what you're saying?
If they meet the threshold for the amount, because the Tier 1,
of what?
the amount of money that you receive. Tier 1 is based on, as of February 1st, 2014, that amount was $988 a month. So if you receive more than $988 a month, you had service credit prior to July 1st, 2011, you would be Tier 1, and then we would have to enroll you as eligible in the system.
What if we didn't do this? Nothing, just stays the way it is, right?
Well, we're not really, we're just writing down what URS's regulations are. We're not like creating a regulation or creating your status as anything. We're just saying URS wants to know if you guys are full-time or part-time. And we've
It's
always,
based on the salary.
and for Tier 2, it's based on whether you're
I
full-time or
understand
part-time.
Tier 2, I'm just curious about Tier 1.
Yeah.
Wait,
So,
do we have any Tier 1s?
no.
No, okay, so
No,
everybody's
but the requirement we don't have to write this down for Tier 1 because Tier 1 is based on the amount of money they earn. Since Tier 2 is based on status, part-time or full-time, they want to see that we have something written down.
One of the facts you should be aware of as well is that if the company fails to properly fund URS, and you were later to say, well, I should have been treated as a full-time employee and I'm entitled to these benefits, then there could be some exposure to the company. So URS and the training that I sat in on, what Carly does is she checks to find out Tier 1, Tier 2, and that's part of the certification program to determine what our contributions are. And this just makes perfectly clear that although you could be part-time or full-time, we're designating you as part-time and therefore excluded. I'm not sure what the hesitation is.
It's just because you remember with the whole fiasco before, one of the issues that the Attorney General brought up was to say, look, your board members are not part-time employees. So it looks like we're trying to say, look, we're part-time employees, so we can qualify for our benefits. And that's what it looks
You're
like.
actually, we're saying that you're part-time employees so that you don't qualify for that.
We don't qualify for
And
Tier
see,
2.
that's why we have.
And you won't qualify for Tier 1
Because they're not.
either.
Right, that's why I just was asking, because we didn't
Yeah.
get any other information, so that's why I was asking.
You have to be
But see-
consistent for July 1st to get Tier 1.
And it also says solely for the purpose of URS designation, so, I mean, it's as clear as it
But a lot of us have been in that system though with other jobs.
Mr. Chairman.
In URS?
I mean, like, it's possible that a director could have been in the entire retirement system with another previous position.
Oh,
Right, and so when I,
not this
You were,
group.
Yeah,
under
I did.
Governor Levitt's
Yeah.
office. Mr. Chairman, I have done some research into the Tier 1 and the Tier 2 qualifications. I looked at the URS website yesterday, and it seems that they are saying that you can be exempt from the 4-year vesting requirement for Tier 2 defined contribution plan if you're an at-will employee of an interlocal organization. And that concerns me because we're opening the door right here to people being exempted from the 4-year vesting period that every other Tier 2 DC benefit member has to do. And then also it's saying under Tier 2 that elected officials after July 1st, 2011 can be eligible for the DC, the defined contribution benefit, if they work the 20 hours of work per week, which is in our resolution, part-time employee, and they receive benefits from the employer. Now, I'm concerned about future boards, not this board, but I'm concerned about future boards that would use that little qualification right there, that if we pass this resolution and they become, future boards become part-time employees, that then they can ask this company to get benefits from the employer, and then we're suddenly now having to contribute defined contribution benefits to URS for them. And I would hope that this board would realize that a lot of things, trouble have happened in the past because previous boards have tried to get benefits for themselves. And I feel like that loophole is going to allow future boards to get the benefits from URS.
So if we look at this, the wording one change is the employment full-time and part-time employees. That's the wording.
I'm going to suggest we take that part out. Because if we declare ourselves to be part-time employees, it goes against the Attorney General's ruling from 2013, and it also allows interlocal employees, at-will employees to be exempt from the vesting requirement of 4 years, and then to receive future benefits from the employer, which means we would have to contribute that money in the future to URS for board members, and they could receive it. You know, to me, I don't want to open that door for future boards.
They can open it.
They might, they've done it in the past, obviously, but I don't
It's
want
not,
to do it
you know,
now.
other boards, this is our board, so.
This is our board. I don't see it coming from this board, but I can see how in the future it could happen.
You can't prevent another board from doing it.
I can't prevent what's happened in the past either, but I'm saying for right now, with what I have learned from the URS website, and I see those technicalities there about vesting, it's really important that employees get vested in the system because then they've paid their fair share to be able to get their 100% benefit, right? But yet there's that exemption from vesting for at-will employees in interlocal organizations that perform some kind of trade service. And that's the quote, page 22 of the URS benefits online for the Tier 2 qualifications. And now, I don't want to go against the Attorney General's office, where they're saying you board members are not part-time employees. And they cited all of what we talked about.
What would they
before.
classify board members as?
Nothing.
Board members.
They're
Just board members.
just elected officials.
I also don't like retroactive laws. Retroactive laws always get us in trouble. We're going back to July 1st, 2011. Granted, that's what the URS requirements say, but I do not like retroactive
We've
laws.
survived it since then.
This,
That's right.
if, this
Joe,
is,
could you maybe put together the state requirements on this tier 1, tier 2?
Oh, anybody can look them up.
Well,
I
I'd
will
like to
come
go
up.
through that, we can make them up.
Here's what I would recommend as general counsel, given the legal work that's been done. Let us review it in detail. We'll cite to the statute and to the regulations. I think there's some misperceptions from the website as to what we're asking for. And also, we'll analyze the potential repercussions in the future if we take this, if we're going to take that position. Otherwise, we're just otherwise we're just speculating as to what the legal ramifications are.
I'm just saying that the qualifications are quite plain. They're for anyone to read and for anyone to understand. And I can see how those loopholes are there, not only for this board, if we would choose to claim it, benefits from an employer, make those benefits ourselves, but we'd also waive that vesting requirement. So important for employees.
And I would suggest that that is not what the law provides.
Well, I would suggest that that's exactly what the URS website told me, and I can cite it, and I can
Sometimes
take you
websites
there
are
right
even
there.
mistaken with respect to statutes.
Well, Joe, I have to tell you, in my PhD dissertation, I studied all 50 state retirement systems, so I'm quite familiar with what all states allow for the defined contribution of the defined benefit system.
But you're mistaken in this case.
Well, I guess we can disagree to
Well,
disagree
no,
again.
But let's have, Joe,
website.
can maybe give us the statement from the state, give us outline what it talks about elected and board directors, and we'll kind of review that, and we'll look at the wording this a little different another time, so probably, let's look at continuation of that item.
You looking for a motion? to
Yeah,
continue?
if you would.
So made.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye. Continuation on that, and Joe provides some information, and we can sit down together and we'll leave the way we feel like comfortable with the board.